Okay, let's talk about melody. We've already talked about it a couple times in the last videos, but let's do a quick review. Now, melodies are just strings of single notes. Here's the melody for this song. So it's just single note after single note, and this whole thing kind of sits on top of the chords in the bass and the drums. By sits on top, I just kind of mean that metaphorically, like it's not literally on top of them. It is in this case. I have this track above these ones, but really all the music comes out together. But in a certain way, all this is kind of providing the background or the foundation, and the melody sits on top. Now, what instruments can play melodies? Basically everything. Any instrument that has pitch can play melody. And any instrument that's not purely rhythmic, like drums, has pitch. So really melodies can be played with anything, but it's not wrong to say that there's certain ones that are maybe better at it in a certain way, or ones that are favored over other ones. That might be like the human voice, and strings like violins, and horns like saxophones, synthesizers. Why these things? Well, these things can hold notes for a long time, indefinitely sometimes, and they can change the volume of their note over time, which is something like a piano or a guitar can't do. Like if I come down to my piano, so when I hit the piano key, the note just fades out. I can't make it come back to life and get louder like a human voice. I can fade it in and out like that. With the key, it just dies out. Same on a guitar, same on a harp. A lot of instruments are that way. So some instruments that can hold notes indefinitely and make them go louder and softer over time, in a certain way lend themselves better to melody, just a different melody, different kind of melody. In this case, I do have one that kind of dies out over time, though it does hold, but it doesn't get louder over time. But I feel like it works pretty well for this melody, especially for this song. The song's pretty funky, and the sound is pretty funky itself. If we play the whole beat, pretty easy to hear what the melody's doing there. Because those notes are high pitch, they're higher than all the other instruments, and they sustain over top while the other instruments are kind of stabbing in the background. Stabbing meaning short notes. So the piano bump, ba, ba, and then the melody just holds. So it kind of draws your attention to it. So what's the purpose of melody? Well, in classical music and older styles of music, melody is the point of music. Everything is about the melody. Now in modern styles, that's not always true. The melody is still important, but sometimes rhythm, like drums or the rhythm of the chords, can kind of be the melody in a certain way. By that I mean it becomes the focus of the song, at least for certain parts of it. There may not always be a melody going on like there is in classical music. And sometimes the melody is kind of just creating an emotion, and it's more the rhythm that's important. But a lot of times, especially in, say, pop music, folk music, rock music, the melody still is king, and every other element serves to support the melody, because the melody is what the average person is going to hear when they listen to music, right? It's what stands out the most. It's what you're going to hum. It's the simplest part. You can't hum chords. You can only hum one note at a time, so you can't actually hum collections of notes. And a lot of times bass lines are hard for people to hear because they're not used to listening for it, and you can't hum drums other than beatboxing. So the melody stands out above all because it has a relation to our human voice, and it's just the clearest and kind of carries the song along. And there's often, when there's a human voice involved, lyrics, meaning words. There's words that accompany the melody, so it's kind of distracting in a certain way, in a good way. It kind of takes your focus away from the chords and the bass, and you kind of focus on what the person's saying and the notes that they're singing. So here's the beat without the melody. Still pretty cool, but it's just missing something. So bring the melody in. That feels better. It feels complete now, right? Without. So as you can see, the melody has great power in music. It's really the focal point of a lot of styles of music, and even in music where it's not the focal point, when a melody does come in, your ears can't help but grab onto it and kind of focus on it, at least temporarily. So spending time writing melodies is very important, and that's what we're going to do in the next section here when we begin our song. And I encourage you to take time to be confident in your melodies. Try things out. Don't just use the first thing that comes to mind. Really listen to your melody and think, is this the one that I want? Because we have an unlimited amount of time to work on our music right now. We may as well take the time to find something that sounds nice rather than just throw our fingers down on the keyboard and choose the first thing that comes to our mind. And after that, we're going to start in on a new song.